What if I told you that the single most powerful habit protecting your prostate takes less than 30 seconds, yet most men over 60 are doing the exact opposite every single day? Before you dismiss that idea, stay with me, because this one decision alone can determine whether your 70s feel active and free or controlled by bathroom schedules and sleepless nights. I'm Dr. Mika Hayashi, a urologist who has spent more than a decade helping men avoid prostate surgery and regain control of their lives. Over the years, I've watched two very different futures unfold for men of the same age. Some struggle constantly with weak flow, urgency, and exhaustion. Others live normally, sleeping through the night and traveling without anxiety. The difference is rarely genetics. It's daily behavior. Today, I'm walking you through 5 specific habits that research shows can prevent or dramatically delay up to 70% of common prostate problems. I'll rank them from surprising to absolutely game-changing, and I want you to understand something important from the start. By age 70, more than 80% of men develop an enlarged prostate. That statistic sounds discouraging, but here's the part most people never hear. Enlargement does not automatically mean suffering. Studies comparing men of the same age show that those who consistently follow certain lifestyle patterns experience far fewer symptoms. Same decade of life, completely different quality of living. Before we go further, take a second to think about your own routine. How many times are you waking up at night? How often do you scan for the nearest restroom when you leave home? These aren't minor inconveniences. They're signals. Your prostate has been working for decades, producing fluid and responding to hormonal shifts since early adulthood. By 60, it has endured 40 years of circulation changes, low-grade inflammation, oxidative stress, and gradual cellular wear. It is not fragile, but it is sensitive to how you live. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, affects more than half of men by 60. By 70, that number jumps close to 80%. The symptoms are not just physical, they erode confidence and freedom. Waking up 3, 4, sometimes 5 times per night leaves you exhausted. A weak stream that takes forever can feel frustrating and even embarrassing. Constant urgency forces you to map your life around bathrooms. Many men quietly withdraw from travel, long drives, or social events because they fear being caught without quick access to a toilet. But here's what I want to make very clear. This progression is not as inevitable as you've been led to believe. Large population studies, including nationwide research from Japan, show that men who maintain specific healthy behaviors can significantly reduce both the severity and speed of prostate enlargement. These habits directly target the mechanisms that drive prostate damage: chronic inflammation, poor blood flow, hormonal imbalance, oxidative stress, and mechanical pressure on the gland itself. I've seen the impact personally. One of my patients, 68 years old, came to me waking up 6 times every night. He was exhausted, irritable, and convinced this was just aging. After committing to the 5 habits I'm about to explain, within 3 months he was waking up once per night. His energy returned. He told me, "I thought this was permanent. I didn't know I could change it." That kind of shift is not rare when the right changes are made consistently. So let's begin with habit number 5. And don't underestimate it just because it sounds simple. Walk 30 minutes every day. No excuses. Many men think walking is only about heart health. It's not. It's one of the strongest protectors of prostate function. A 2024 study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed thousands of men and found that those who improved their cardiorespiratory fitness by just 3% per year had a 35% lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to men whose fitness declined. 35% from steady, moderate movement. Why does this work? First, walking reduces systemic inflammation, including in prostate tissue. Chronic inflammation is one of the main drivers of enlargement and symptom progression. Second, walking improves circulation to the pelvic region, Better blood flow means more oxygen delivery and more efficient removal of cellular waste. Third, daily movement helps maintain healthy body weight, and excess fat is directly linked to faster prostate growth. Finally, walking lowers stress hormones such as cortisol, which can worsen urinary symptoms. Harvard researchers tracking more than 30,000 men found that those who walked regularly reported significantly fewer urinary complaints than sedentary men. Even moderate intensity produced benefits. You do not need to sprint or train for marathons. The protocol is straightforward: 30 minutes per day, every day. That can be one continuous walk or 3 10-minute sessions. Move at a pace where you can talk, but feel your heart working. No gym membership required, no equipment, just consistency. I had a 67-year-old patient who had been inactive for years. His nighttime urination reached 5 trips per night. After committing to daily walking for 8 weeks, that number dropped to 2. His stream strengthened. He felt alert again. He told me he hadn't felt that level of energy in years. Walking is foundational, but the next habits are even more powerful. And as we move to habit number 4, you may find this one uncomfortable because it challenges a belief many men hold about relaxation and moderation. Pardon? That belief is this: that moderate drinking is harmless, especially after retirement, when stress feels lower and social occasions feel earned. But habit number 4 is one that surprises many men. And it's simple in wording yet powerful in impact: limit alcohol to no more than 3 drinks per week. Not per day, per week. After 60, your body processes alcohol differently. Hormonal sensitivity shifts. Inflammatory responses become stronger. What once felt like a small nightly habit can quietly aggravate your prostate. Large population analyses from Japan and other countries have shown that avoiding excessive alcohol intake plays a meaningful role in preventing prostate enlargement. But here's what many men don't realize. Even moderate drinking at this stage of life can worsen urinary symptoms. Alcohol increases inflammation throughout the body, and your prostate is not exempt. It disrupts hormonal balance by lowering testosterone and increasing estrogen activity. That hormonal shift may seem subtle, but over time it contributes to gland growth. Alcohol also irritates the bladder, intensifying urgency and frequency. That evening drink meant to relax can translate into multiple nighttime awakenings. The threshold I recommend is clear and strict: no more than 3 standard drinks for the entire week. 1 drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of spirits. Spread them out. Avoid having more than 2 drinks in one sitting. Ideally, build in alcohol-free days between them. This isn't about punishment. It's about protecting tissue that becomes more vulnerable with age. I once treated a patient in his mid-60s who believed his 4 to 5 nightly drinks were harmless because he had been doing it for decades. He complained of constant urgency and waking every hour after midnight. When he reduced his intake to 3 drinks weekly, improvements appeared within 4 weeks. By 8 weeks, his nighttime trips dropped from 6 to 2. He admitted something many men eventually realize. What felt calming was actually fueling the problem. When men reduce alcohol, they often notice better sleep, steadier energy, and fewer inflammatory symptoms across the board. And better sleep alone improves hormonal regulation. Testosterone production is tightly linked to deep, uninterrupted rest. If alcohol fragments that sleep, hormone balance suffers, and the prostate responds. Now, habit number 3 may sound almost too simple to matter, but it is supported by some of the strongest nutritional research in prostate health. Eat cooked tomatoes 3 times per week. This is not a trendy supplement. It is a food-based strategy with measurable impact. Tomatoes contain lycopene, a potent antioxidant that accumulates in prostate tissue. Lycopene helps protect cells from oxidative damage, one of the drivers of both enlargement and cancer risk. Here's the crucial detail. Cooked tomatoes provide far more absorbable lycopene than raw ones. Heat breaks down the plant cell walls, making the compound easier for your body to use. Adding a healthy fat, such as olive oil, increases absorption even further. Multiple studies have shown that men who consume cooked tomato products regularly have lower rates of prostate cancer. Some research indicates up to a 28% reduction in risk among men who eat tomato-based dishes at least twice per week. Other studies link higher lycopene intake to slower prostate growth and reduced symptom progression. The practical plan is straightforward. Aim for 3 servings of cooked tomatoes each week. That could be half a cup of tomato sauce on pasta, a bowl of tomato soup, roasted tomatoes drizzled with olive oil, or marinara with vegetables. Consistency matters more than perfection. Incorporate it into meals you already enjoy. One of my patients began including tomato-based meals 3 times weekly and added cruciferous vegetables like broccoli along with pumpkin seeds as snacks. Over 6 months, his PSA levels shifted from borderline high to comfortably within normal range. His follow-up exam showed stability rather than progression. While no single food is a cure, the cumulative effect of antioxidant-rich nutrition is powerful. Dietary choices influence inflammation, oxidative stress, and hormone metabolism. The prostate responds to these internal conditions. When you reduce inflammatory triggers and increase protective nutrients, you change the environment in which those cells live. Now we move to habit number 2, which connects everything we've discussed so far. Maintain a healthy weight, and if you are overweight, aim to lose at least 10% of your body weight. This is not about appearance. It is about metabolic influence on prostate tissue. Excess body fat, especially around the abdomen, increases inflammatory markers and alters hormone balance. Fat tissue converts testosterone into estrogen through an enzyme called aromatase. As estrogen levels rise relative to testosterone, prostate growth accelerates. Obesity is also associated with more aggressive prostate cancer and higher mortality rates. A 2022 study directly linked larger waist circumference and visceral belly fat to increased risk of prostate enlargement. The more central fat you carry, the more pressure and hormonal disruption affect the gland. But here is the encouraging part. Even modest weight loss can make a meaningful difference. Losing just 10% of your body weight improves insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation, and stabilizes hormone levels. That does not require extreme dieting. In fact, drastic approaches usually fail long-term. The strategy I recommend is portion control. Reduce portion sizes by 20 to 25% at each meal. Use smaller plates. Stop eating when you feel satisfied, not overly full. Prioritize vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, whole grains, and healthy fats from nuts and fish. Limit processed foods, added sugars, and excessive red meat. Combine this nutritional pattern with the daily 30-minute walk we discussed earlier. Together, they create steady, sustainable weight reduction. One of my patients weighed 240 pounds at 62. His prostate was significantly enlarged, and symptoms were severe. Over 6 months, through portion control and consistent walking, he lost 25 pounds. Follow-up evaluation showed measurable reduction in prostate size and significant improvement in urinary flow. He did not undergo surgery. He changed his habits. We have now covered walking, alcohol limitation, tomato intake, and weight management. Each one addresses inflammation, circulation, or hormonal balance. But the final habit, the one I rank as number 1, is different. It works immediately. It costs nothing. And most men are unknowingly harming themselves by doing the opposite. Because what you're about to hear challenges something that feels harmless but can quietly strain your prostate every single day. Par 3. That habit is this. Never hold your urine. Not for meetings. Not for long drives. Not because it feels inconvenient. If you feel the urge, you go. Immediately. It sounds almost too basic to matter, but this is the single fastest way many men over 60 irritate and strain their prostate without realizing it. I call it the 30-second rule, because that's about how long it takes to stand up and walk to the restroom. Yet most men delay for far longer. They finish the show. They wait until the commercial break. They push through a conversation. They sit through traffic. And every time they do, they increase pressure on a gland that is already vulnerable. Here's what physically happens when you hold urine. Your bladder continues filling and stretching. As it expands, it presses directly downward onto the prostate, which sits just below it. That constant mechanical pressure irritates the tissue and contributes to chronic swelling. Over time, repeated overdistension also weakens the bladder muscles themselves, making it harder to empty completely. Incomplete emptying leads to residual urine. Stagnant urine creates a breeding ground for bacteria, increasing inflammation and risk of infection. It becomes a cycle. Research confirms that timely voiding, meaning urinating when you first feel the urge, reduces bladder overdistension and minimizes prolonged pressure on the prostate. It protects both structures, yet surveys suggest that a large majority of men, over 60, regularly delay urination multiple times per day. They think it builds control. In reality, it builds strain. I treated a 64-year-old man who routinely held his urine for hours at work. He thought it was discipline. Over time, he developed severe urgency, weak stream, and frequent nighttime trip. When I explained the mechanical stress involved and instructed him to respond immediately to urges, he was skeptical. But within 6 weeks of changing that one behavior, his symptoms improved dramatically. He told me he had no idea something so simple could cause so much damage. This is why I rank it number 1. It is immediate, it costs nothing, and it begins protecting your prostate the same day you start. From this moment forward, when you feel the signal, you go. No waiting, no delay. If you're traveling or no restroom access will be limited, adjust fluid intake slightly ahead of time, rather than forcing your bladder to endure hours of pressure. Planning is smarter than holding. Your goal is not to avoid urination. It's to avoid strain. Now let's bring all 5 habits together into a practical system. Because information alone changes nothing. Implementation changes outcomes. Tonight, start with habit number 1. Make a decision that you will never intentionally hold your urine again. It may feel minor, but consistency compounds. Tomorrow morning, begin habit number 5. Walk 30 minutes. Schedule it like an appointment you cannot cancel. Protect that time. Movement is medicine for your circulation, your metabolism, and your prostate. At your first meal tomorrow, begin habit number 2 by reducing your portion size by about 20%. Use a smaller plate if needed. Eat slowly. Stop when satisfied, not stuffed. You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. Steady change is what lasts. This week, address habit number 4. Track your alcohol honestly. Many men underestimate their intake. If you are above 3 drinks per week, begin tapering down. Replace some evenings with sparkling water, herbal tea, or another non-alcoholic option. Notice how your sleep changes. Notice how nighttime urgency shifts. Also this week, implement habit number 3. Purchase tomatoes, tomato sauce, or marinara. Plan 3 tomato-based meals. Combine them with vegetables and healthy fats. Keep it simple. Pasta with marinara and olive oil. Tomato soup with a side salad. Roasted tomatoes alongside grilled fish. Consistency matters more than complexity. To measure progress, establish a baseline tonight. Count how many times you wake up to urinate. Write it down. That number becomes your starting point. Over weeks 2 through 4, continue tracking. Many men begin noticing improvements within that window. By weeks 6 to 8, it is common to see symptom reduction of 40 to 60% when these habits are followed consistently. Add additional support, if applicable. If you smoke, quitting is critical. Smoking worsens vascular health and inflammation, both of which accelerate prostate issues. Schedule annual prostate screenings beginning at 60 if you haven't already. Early detection allows lifestyle strategies to work before medication or surgery becomes necessary. Manage stress intentionally. Chronic stress increases cortisol, which influences inflammation and urinary urgency. Meditation, hobbies, time outdoors, and meaningful social connection all contribute to regulation. One of my patients committed fully to all 5 habits. 6 months later, his prostate size had stabilized instead of continuing its previous enlargement. His symptoms improved by more than 60%. He slept through most nights without interruption. He began traveling again without fear. He described it as getting his life back. Here is the reality you need to understand. By 70, most men will experience some degree of prostate enlargement. That statistic will not change, but suffering is not guaranteed. Symptoms are not predetermined. Daily behavior strongly influences outcome. The 5 habits that protect your prostate after 60 are clear and evidence-based. Walk 30 minutes daily. Limit alcohol to 3 drinks weekly. Eat cooked tomatoes 3 times weekly. Maintain a healthy weight through portion control, and never hold your urine. These are not extreme medical interventions. They are controlled, repeatable, daily decisions. Research shows that men who practice these behaviors consistently experience dramatically fewer symptoms than those who ignore them. Not 10% fewer. Not slightly fewer. Significantly fewer. The difference between waking once per night and waking 5 times can mean the difference between energy and exhaustion, freedom and restriction. Start tonight with the simplest but most powerful step. Respond immediately when your body signals the need to urinate. Tomorrow, add the walk. This week, adjust alcohol, portions, and tomato intake. Within 3 months, these behaviors become routine. Within months, your prostate responds. Prostate problems are common, but they are not destiny. Your daily habits determine your trajectory. Protect your prostate starting now, and give yourself the best chance at a decade defined by vitality instead of limitation.